This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Most importantly, thanks for listening. This is Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. It's all powered by Bowen Wealth. You can get more when you visit bowenwealth.com, and you can find that and all the information in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Now, let's get to the show. Brandon, you a big fan of the yacht rock?
Well, I mean, I could put on a polo shirt.
Yes, sir.
You know, and walk around by the yachts down there by the Yorktown. Every time I'm walking on those docks and I see people just sitting on the back, a little Chardonnay poured,
Yes,
I'm just
sir.
like, good on you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you're living on the boat.
And this is the music that's playing in the background.
Yes.
A little Toto, a little Steely Dan, little Doobie Brothers, that yacht rock craze that's so big right now. It's kind of taking over. You need a little captain's hat, though. You can't really do
Captain's hat, maybe a scarf, or a sweater. What do you call it?
Yeah, but the
Little sweater over the shoulders.
But it's tied around the neck.
Yeah, tie it around.
Yeah, that fits,
there you go.
you perfectly. Speaking of yacht rock and the music and the genre, Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers, 72 years old. But he's still going strong. There is a new project coming to HBO. It's a documentary on that music, that late 70s, early 80s soft rock, and it's really that sound that he kind of inspired a little bit. The documentary is called Yacht Rock, comes out November the 29th on HBO Max. We actually had the opportunity to sit down with Michael McDonald, and we asked, how did he feel when he hit the age of 60?
No matter what happens in your career, no matter what success you have along the way, when you're 60, you'll be asking yourself the same questions. And, you know, as of recently, it seems like, you know, just certain things by the time, even when you're 60, things fall into place for the first time, it seems like. And you go, gosh, you know, I should retire, but it's just getting good. And you want to keep going, you know, so why quit now?
You talk about that, Brandon, that milestone age of 60. So for the families you served, do you have somebody like they wanted to retire in the early 60s, but then they realized, man, I'm not done yet. Can you make adjustments as needed to accommodate those that say, I've still got a lot left in me?
Totally make adjustments as needed. So what we do when people come in, this is like the perfect scenario. I would say if someone were to pick up the phone, call or text us, 843-890-2400. If you were to do that, we come in and we put the plan together maybe 2 or 3 years before you plan to retire. Because a lot of times you might have a few dates that you're looking at. There might not be one nailed down. And so what I like to say is let's pick the first exit coming up. Okay. The first potential time that you might be open to it is that age 60, or is it 62 when Social Security can come onto the scene, or is it 65 when Medicare, right? So there's these different points. And the hardest one to plan for is the soonest one. So the one that comes up the soonest, that's the hardest. And if we can make the plan work for that first one, well, then the ones 2 and 3 years down the road, you know, it's just easier.
You say that, is it because it just sneaks up on us? Because we never think we're going to hit 50, 55, 60. And you turn around and you're like, oh man, I'm 60 years old.
I think people are anticipating, right? They want to they're working towards that goal. And I think you know, especially if your job is not your favorite thing to do. I mean, we need that finish line. We need to know that, gosh, I got 24 months, you know, or I need to, you know, just a little bit longer. I'm setting this alarm for just one more year. And so once that plan is in place, you know, then it makes it a little more, because it's like that big vacation you've got planned to celebrate. It's going to be next summer, you know? So we've got that reward that we're working towards. So the first step to this scenario that you're talking about is like, can we make changes? Well, the first step is we got to get that plan in place so that we can make the changes, okay, if needed. And so once we finalize that and we've considered all of the options, then as we start closing in on that date where you're coming up on the, you know, maybe at the end of this year, of this next year or something, that's when you retire and you let your boss know. Well, here, Mark, this is where you're talking about where we have seen employers just be throwing money at you to keep you on board. And it's the craziest thing. So I'm thinking of 2 scenarios here. So one is a client that came on board. We put the plan together, and then he told his employer here, works for a big telecommunications company here in town, and he told him he was retiring at the end of the year. And so the boss and the boss's boss were like, we cannot let him go. He is the one that makes this state of South Carolina run, literally, right? Keeps us communicating with each other. And so they were like throwing him. So finally he was like, nah, because think think about it, he didn't have to work. The plan was in place. So he turned down like the first 2 offers that they sent to him, and they were like, I could just see it. The brass was like, fine, ask him the number. And so he was getting $250,000 to work 3 days a week.
Living the dream.
Okay. Yes. And it was like for these big projects too. So there was, he even had like a month in there. He'd be like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to be in Europe, for the month of April. It's like the best month to be over there. And so so he would be gone, and then he'd come back and, have another big project to oversee, another, 3-day work week, making his 250. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, right? So he was able to do that because he could take the other option. Another scenario that happens here is let's say, we put the plan together, you let your employer know, or you let your employees know that you are out the door, right? And then you actually retire. Well, another adjustment that we've been able to make for our clients is where we had a tremendous income stream set up, and it was about $300,000 per year for this couple of mine. And they retired, they started traveling, they're doing all this travel. I've talked about them before, where they did about 14 to 15 trips per year.
Nice.
I mean, beautiful. They were gone more than they were here. And so they called from one of the trips, and they were like, hey, Brett, I could barely hear them, because it was just so loud where they were. And I guess they had a conversation about their income or something. And so they called me, and they were like, hey, Brandon, we were just checking our accounts, and we've got too much income coming in. We've got too much income coming in from the plan. Can you turn it down a little bit? We're drowning in income in retirement. What a great problem.
Seriously.
So I said, sure, no problem. So we turned it down and let some of those income streams just stay in the plan. Right. And they're like, we're traveling, we're doing everything that we want to do, but we feel like we don't need it. Let's keep some of it working for us in the plan, in the models, things like that. So those are a couple of adjustments that we can make. And just like Michael McDonald said, if it's just getting good at 60 or 62, and they just throw stupid money at you to stay on board, and you enjoy your job, you find purpose in that, then hey, sure, you can continue to do that, knowing that, of course, you're giving limited amount of time that you have left to your employer, right? Yep. That's a conversation we'll have as well, right? Because I want to make sure that you're still able to give, appropriate time to your spouse, to your kids, to your grandkids. Okay. We only have so many summers left and so many Christmases left and so you want to think about that. But if it's just getting good and you want to stay on board, well, yeah, we can adjust our plan. And so back to that first step that I said, you've got to have, or let me ask it this way, do you have 100% confidence in your retirement plan? And if that answer is like, I think so, then that is not 100% confidence. Okay. So I would say that's the first step that I want to begin with you listening right now. If you don't have that plan in place, or if you're not 100% confident in a customized plan, and what I mean by that is you've got to have I want you to have tremendous tax efficient, protected income. That helps you sleep 8 hours, 9 hours every night when you're not stressed about, okay, the markets have to stay up for this plan to work. You want to have smart, tactical investments that even plan for market crashes, okay? Especially with where we're at right now. We've got a change in administration. We've got tariffs coming. We've got, a lot of different things, as excited as you might be for the next administration, right? I mean, we've got to plan on crashes, especially if you're retiring. You can't go back to work and make this money again. Okay. So your plan has to do that. That's going to give you that potential freedom to spend with confidence and to make those memories that's going to add to your legacy. Okay, so we've got to start with this plan in place. And then, yes, we can always make changes. I like to say that our plan is a living, breathing plan where we can make these changes because we know we're going to spend a certain amount of money. The markets are going to perform a certain way. Your accounts are going to be a different balance every year. Okay, so we're going to tweak it. We're going to make adjustments. Okay, now there's this much in the account. So every time you come in for an annual review, that's when we sit down and make needed changes. So if you're listening and you're 55 or above, maybe you've got just a handful of years before you retire. Now is the time. I'm talking to you. Now is the time to pick up the phone and let's start putting this plan together where we can pick a date down the road. You're doing some very thoughtful planning ahead of time before things get really stressful. And the time crunch you start feeling the weight of this major life decision. Well, let's do it now. Let's have some casual conversations. Yeah. And let's start playing around with some dates. What makes the most sense? And it's going to get easier the longer we wait because of Social Security getting bigger, your 401k might get bigger, things like that. But let's start now with the conversation. So if you're 55 or above and have saved $500,000 or more, you deserve our complimentary retirement game plan. And that's where we'll sit down, take a look at everything you've done and start making sense of all the dollars, the different timelines, the different income streams that you have will make sense and bring clarity to your planning process. So I'm going to provide this complimentary retirement game plan right now to the next 5 listeners who call or text.
And what's the best way to reach out to you and the team at Bowen Wealth?
Yeah, that's with our phone number, 843-890-2400. Again, 843-890-2400. Pick up the phone. I've got Tanya. She's standing by. She'll answer your text and say, hey, is now a good time to talk? Or if you want to go ahead and talk to her, give her a call, right? Give her a call. We'll go ahead and put you on the calendar here. But that number, 843-890-2400.
And by the way, Tanya isn't like a high school kid that there's just looking to make a little bit of money on the side on the weekends.
Nope.
No, Tanya is a team member of Bowen Wealth. So if you have any questions, she can help you out. But more importantly, she can get you on the calendar. She can see Brandon's schedule right now. I love that you said that you have a family that you serve, and they literally said, Brandon, we're drowning in income. That's almost like a bucket list goal for so many adults in retirement to call you to say, all right, let's temper it down just a little bit. Maybe we put it into another legacy bucket. There's somebody listening right now that says, well, look, I don't have $6-7 million saved for retirement. Can I still be drowning in income?
You totally can. You totally can. Now it's all, of course, proportionate to how much you have saved. Right. But the big thing here is I want your mind to shift from, because up till now, the number one goal, the dream, goal of your money has been growth. Okay. But in retirement, the goal of your money needs to be income. Okay. How much can our $500,000 produce? How much can our $1 million produce, or 1.5 million? So you're wherever you fall on that spectrum, right? On that balance there. And so what I want to do is make whatever you have saved outperform and really be focused to have all that money turned towards you and focus on income so that you can feel like, gosh, we've saved $500,000, but we are drowning in income here, And so that's what it is. You want to think, okay, in retirement, how can I best maximize income from my portfolio?
And one more time, what's the best way to reach out to you and the team?
That's with 843-890-2400.
Again, 843-890-2400. Or you can always get more when you visit bowenwealth.com. And Brandon, it's the weekend.
I'm a fireball.
And I'm listening in this weekend. Want to talk about retirement strategy? You got a little pitbull going on. What is happening, Brandon Bowen?
Man, this is the show. No, who can compete with that?
Listen, I usually sweat when I look at my accounts. So I'm sweating now. I got my little feet moving a little bit now.
I just want to go to the Caribbean now.
So, man, Mr. 305, Pitbull.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. My man, you'll never, miss him in a song because he introduces himself at the beginning of every song.
You guys have the same haircut.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lotion and razors involved. So work very, very hard for that. All right, so you're going, all right, what's going on, man? Charleston's retirement coach this weekend. Well, we've got a little Pitbull going on here. This is a great story because earlier in the show, we were talking about leaving a legacy for your family. And Pitbull has done just that. He's leaving his name literally at Florida International University. So Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, is paying the school $1.2 million a year for the naming rights to Pitbull Stadium.
Oh, my gosh.
It's great marketing.
FIU. Okay. Yep.
$1.2 million. Let's see what his net worth is real quick. All right, just take a guess. What do you think his net worth is?
We're going to go $40 million.
$100 million.
What was I thinking?
So $1.2 million a year for the naming rights.
Okay,
that's marketing right there, and he can write it off as a business expense.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
And the story, it also goes, Brandon, this is great. He also gets exclusive use to the stadium 10 times a year.
Okay.
So
There you
when
go.
there's
He'll
no-
get it back in ticket sales.
Yeah, so he
The
can
10
do
concerts.
a concert,
Yes.
or
Okay.
he can, have a private party. He can hook up an Xbox and just play it on the big screen if he wants to. Whatever he wants to do. So we're talking about legacy here. And look, let's be honest. We, as adults, we may never get a football field. We may never get our name on a building. We may not even ever get a sandwich named after us in our lifetime. But with the legacy, there is some importance behind that. It's estate planning. It's not just something for the wealthy people. It is a vital part of every retirement plan. Let's talk about legacy, Brandon.
Okay. So legacy, yeah, I mean, it's a heavy conversation here, but so if I were to describe legacy, I would say, or let me start with this question. Where are you spending your time, talent, and treasure? Where are you spending those gifts? Okay. So, because if I think of, okay, what is a legacy? I would say my legacy is, what did I do with those limited gifts of my time, talent, and treasure? We're only given so much time on earth. We were only given so much talent here. I think you and I have overachieved, Mark.
Amen.
With our talent.
Agreed.
And our treasure, right? What have we've been blessed with and things. So what did we do with the gifts we were given? And so as I think of legacy, my mind goes to my grandparents. Okay, so Mark, let me put you on the spot here first. Do you have any a legacy that you remember with either of your grandparents on either side growing up?
So if you talk legacy, I guess my grandfather, my mom's dad, he was the very first doctor in our hometown.
Oh, wow.
So he's got his legacy. He does have his name on the side of a building. And for my other side, my grandfather, my dad's dad, he worked at the same company his entire life. And while he doesn't have his name anywhere, he doesn't have a plaque, he had a decent pension. But for me, that's a legacy of a work ethic I hope to pass down to my kids.
Yes, absolutely. So mine, I can think of Papaw. We call him on my mom's side.
That's right.
He would take us, we would do putt-putt and McDonald's ice cream. I remember doing that growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, up there. And he was the one who put a golf club in my hands when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. Or so. I remember, I played t-ball and baseball at the time, and he's like, hey, try golf. And so I'm so grateful. I love golf. That's something, a lifetime sport that I've been able to do. And I'm so glad I learned it young, and now I've got a nice handicap, nice index. I love to play. My dad's dad, we called him Daddy B on the Bowen side. And what I remember from him, he was a farmer. And so I remember whenever we'd go over to Daddy B's house, he'd always say, hey, you want some bubble gum, like juicy fruit, like the stick of gum? He would hand to me, and I was like, yeah, thanks, Daddy B. And I would, we'd pop it in every time. And later on in life, it was funny. My dad told me, yeah, Daddy B was trying to quit smoking. So he used gum to do that. I didn't know that. I just thought he always had gum, so anyway, those are just memories that I have here. And I'm always going to remember those things. Some clients, let me tell you a memory of some clients that stick out to me, a legacy that's been tremendous. So this couple, Mark, how you mentioned how your grandfather worked for the same company. Well, this client worked for the Navy his whole career. Okay. Career long at the Navy. I'm not sure what rank he finished at. But they came on board, him and his wife became clients. And he had self-managed his money his whole life, until like these last 5 years of his life. And then when he came in, he really, really liked our non-emotional, methodical, mathematical portfolios there. And he rolled everything that they had over to us. That was about 7 years ago. And so then his health started failing, and he went on dialysis due to the kidneys and things. And so, but those last couple years especially, when they would come in, we would update the trust, his will, things like that, have these conversations, make sure everything was just specific and clear with what he wanted to do with the money and when his son could get a hold of it, that kind of stuff. And so now he's been gone. He's passed about 7 years ago at this point. But his son, who's a client, he comes in and we always talk. I just love, bringing this up, and he brings it up too. But he talks about the golf trip to Scotland a lot, and several different courses they played over there. road trips out to the Grand Canyon, things that they were able to do together as a family. And that's the legacy, of his dad.
Yeah.
And he loves to talk about those things. And so you listening, what I want you to hear is, you might feel like, well, I don't have millions. I don't need a trust or something like. You might need a trust, but you might not have millions. But what you do is, I bet you have memories that you want to outlive you. You want to pass along a few things to maybe your kids or grandkids, like maybe fishing, right? Maybe you're passionate about fishing, and you want to go out and teach maybe your grandkids about some nearshore, offshore fishing, whatever. Or maybe it's you love fast cars. You want to maybe go to some races here, or go to some of these car shows that are every month, so many, or maybe you want to take them putt-putting and get ice cream at McDonald's afterwards.
Because what you don't and what we don't realize, we think we're taking our kids fishing, taking the grandkids to go putt-putt, but we are also creating the memories.
Or you might be like, it rained on that fishing trip and we didn't catch anything. But that memory, they're going to be like, Grandpa, do you remember that time it rained the whole time on the fishing trip and you didn't catch anything? That was the best.
It's funny you say that. Me and my father, my two older brothers, and I'll let you get back to it, but it's so funny you say, because this triggered a legacy memory of mine with my dad who's passed away. My dad, my two older brothers, we'd go fishing in Bluffton off the May River. And you know what we catch? Nothing but a good buzz. That's it. Nothing. Not a dang thing all weekend. But those are some of the best memories. And me and my brothers still talk about it to this day.
Oh, my God. Because it can be the joke. Like, he could be a really good fisherman, Grandpa. But you're like, yeah, right. We've been there. And, you didn't catch anything except a buzz.
Yep.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
So true.
So that's what we're talking about. That is a legacy. And it starts with estate planning. Okay, that's our financial term here of what we call it. It's estate planning. And it really is how you currently live now and finishing well. That is an estate plan that I want to help you have confidence in. Okay. And so here's just three things that a proper estate plan does. What it does is it protects your loved ones. Okay. It gives proper distribution to your money. You keep the money in the family. Hopefully the kids don't get divorced, but what if they get divorced? We want the money to stay in the family, right? If there's a child not making great decisions right now, maybe a good bit of money might not be the best scenario. So we want to protect the family, your loved ones. We avoid probate and stress. Okay, with a proper estate plan. So avoiding probate, maybe we save 1 to 2 years of probate. And I've heard that it gets about maybe 5 to 10% of your gross estate in lawyer fees. I mean, they drain it. Okay. Lawyers do with this thing if it gets drug out and it gets nasty and things like that. So a trust helps avoid probate and those concerns right there. And then lastly, tax efficiency. Okay. We can potentially reduce how much goes to Uncle Sam with the proper plan in place. So if you've saved $500,000, and especially if it's 7 figures, if you're in the millions, you've got to get this plan together. This is, don't just get lazy here at the end. Okay. You've done a great job. You've saved, you've provided for the family, so much hard work, great decisions. Don't get lazy right here at the very end. Reach over, pick up your phone and reach out to us. Our number's 843-890-2400. Again, that's 843-890-2400. I know that you deserve a team in place, and I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer, but I know several good ones. Or if you have one, you're gonna have an entourage now. Okay, we're gonna bring everybody together, and we're gonna put this estate plan together for you and your children and grandchildren's benefit. Okay. Yeah. So pick up the phone. This is a legacy plan review. That's where we'll start. So pick up the phone, give us a call or a text and ask for our legacy plan review. That's 843-890-2400.
Again, that number, 843-890-2400. And feel free to give that exact same number. Give them a text. Tanya's standing by right now to answer your text. She can see Brandon's calendar, see his schedule, to find an opportunity for you to sit down and have this conversation about your legacy. Again, 843-890-2400. The main office of Bowen Wealth. Where can we find it, Brandon?
It is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge. That goes from downtown into Mount Pleasant. So it's kind of near Whole Foods right there. So, so kind of South Mount Pleasant.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth, LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. Market Guard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. Market Guard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.